Jackson in the key. Kick out. Davenport.
A steal for Kentucky. Ahead to Reeves. Left wing three. Got it. Jackson weaves.
A dunk. Bounces off to Adu and he slams it home.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Student Section. This is a show all about college basketball, SEC men's basketball more specifically. Today, as you can tell by the title, the main topic of this episode is going to be Cal's return to Arkansas. So if you are here for that take, I'm going to let you guys know I am an Arkansas fan. I won't be biased, but I will give an insight from an Arkansas fan perspective and just as like a general basketball fan perspective. So if you want to watch that like right now, if you just want to skip ahead, look down. I have timestamps embedded in the video and in the description. So if you want to skip there, you can go ahead and do that. But for those of you who want to, basically I'm going to talk about every game this upcoming Saturday. So if you want to listen to your team, that'll be embedded in the description below. If you just want to listen to every team, obviously you can do that. The first thing I do want to do before we get into anything further is I want to give you guys the top 5. We haven't had that in quite a while. And if you don't know, top 5 is just top 5 plays of the past week. So let's go ahead and get straight into it. All right, coming in at the number 5 spot, we have Manuel Besky with Texas A&M. You couldn't see it there, but he saved the ball from going out of bounds. Hits him with the Hakeem Olajuwon fadeaway Kobe type play. The main reason I put this in the highlight reel is because of the pink jerseys, bro. They look so clean. Coming in at number 4, we have Trey Green with the block right here. Gets the ball, runs in transition, gets a little bit of a contact dunk. What makes this play so amazing is this dude's a tight end. He plays tight end for LSU. Like literally on the LSU team plays tight end. Anyways, moving on to number 3. We got a little bump right there on Andrew Carr. Dunks all over him. This was a really good game. Shout out Kentucky for the win. I'll talk about you guys a little bit more later. But shout out Dubar for the dunk. Pretty much jumps from outside the restricted area, a little foot in it, but, you know, a little contact dunk, a little nice, little something. Moving on to the second play of the week, we have the dump down to CMB, dunks all over the Georgia defender. Shout out Colin Murray Boyles, very underrated season, very underrated team. We'll also talk about them here in a second. And then for the final play, we all knew this was coming. We got Tremont Mark, hits a little floater for the game winner over Texas A&M. A pretty big rivalry between those sports. For those of you who don't know, Tremont Mark hit that exact same shot last year against Texas A&M for the game winner from the same spot. It was a little different. It was more of a jump shot more than a floater, but it was the same shot. Shout out Tremont Mark. Shout out Texas for the win. All right, so we are back from the top 5. Just a quick little thing. I haven't uploaded in 2 weeks. I'm back in school and also balancing work and school. So not much time. I'm trying to figure out how to get my schedule correct to where I can get everything, my videos uploaded, my homework done, obviously clock in for work, because I have to be at work, obviously. I think I've got it figured out, so I should start getting more videos up. But without further ado, I'm going to start with the first team. Technically this is the last game, but it's the title of the video. I'm going to get into it right now. It'll be Arkansas versus Kentucky. Arkansas is 12-8, Kentucky's 15-5. Kentucky's 4-3 in SEC play, and Arkansas is 1-6. So it's a 3-game gap between full record wise. Obviously, Arkansas has been stinking it up in SEC play. That's been a huge topic of debate. Oh my God, I keep hitting my microphone. I would definitely say it's probably the most popular game of Saturday, even though UNC and Duke is playing. UNC is not very good, and people outside of the state don't really care too much about that game. So I do think this game had a fair shot at getting college game day coverage, just because it's, if you don't remember last year during the Final Four, or it might have been right after the championship, I think, Coach Cal had announced that he was leaving Kentucky and that he was moving to Arkansas. Like a day later, I think he announced it. And that was getting much more coverage than the national championship game with UConn. So there's that. So, it's definitely a big storyline. It's not just something that Kentucky fans care about or Arkansas. It's a decent storyline. And with college game day being what it is, it takes a lot of personalities. Obviously, they interview both coaches. I think they interview teams as well, maybe. But, Cal's a character. Everybody knows him. You either hate him or love him. He's good in front of a microphone. He'll give you good answers, whatever. So I am a little surprised that this isn't the College Game Day game, but I'm not upset. It's not going to hurt my feelings at all. I just want to talk about the breakdown of the game, just in terms of, obviously Arkansas is the most, I don't even, they're just a crazy underdog. It's not showing me the betting lines right now. If I were to take a guess, I would say they're probably like a 6-point underdog. No, that's too much. I would say probably, where are the betting lines at? If I were to take a guess, I think 6 is too much. I'd probably say they're probably a 4.5-point underdog. I think that's probably a fair assumption. We'll see once the lines actually come out. Arkansas and Kentucky are two completely different teams in terms of play style. Everyone knows Kentucky is going to shoot as many threes as they can, run as fast as they can, get shots up as quick as they possibly can, try and get as many shots as they can in a game. They don't really have a player that they play through. Otega Owe, I believe, is the leading scorer, but he's not necessarily a guy that they're going to play through. They just get shots whenever they can. Jackson Robinson has been amazing. I wouldn't say amazing. He's been pretty good. Lamont Butler being out right now is definitely going to be a big hit. And Andrew Carr being out is also a big hit. So right now, Kentucky is missing their starting point guard and center. I'm not sure what the injury report is on them right now. I'm not sure if either of them are going to be healthy by the time this game plays. I'm not seeing anything in the news about it. So I mean, we'll see. We'll see once game day comes out. I don't think I'm recording this on Thursday. I believe they release their official injury reports tomorrow. I'd be surprised if either of them were playing. Maybe Lamont Butler. I don't know what his injury is, so I don't know how healthy he is. Andrew Carr, I would say, probably has a higher chance of playing, just because his was a back injury. He played a little bit against Tennessee this past game. But yeah, so with Kentucky, obviously their strengths being the shooting, their strengths being their system, their strengths being their ability to get the shot up. They have struggled recently in late game not making, but shot creation, getting shots up late in the game because they don't have that go-to guy. They have issues fouling late in game. They foul a lot. They put guys to the free throw line a lot. And they give up a lot of shots late in game as well. Now, Arkansas is schematically, they're very similar to Tennessee, especially the way they've been playing the past two games without Boogie Flan. They've been very rebound heavy, very physical, very defensive oriented. They're not Tennessee's #1 defense in the entire country, but I believe they're either #2 or #3 in defensive efficiency in terms of the entire SEC. Let me pull it up real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, so I have the stats pulled up. So we look at defensive rating. I guess Arkansas has slipped quite a bit as of late in terms of, conference play. They were the #2 defense in pre-conference play. They've fallen quite a bit to Florida, Ole Miss, Auburn, Georgia, and Texas A&M, which are all really good defensive teams. So they're in the mix with the top defensive teams in the league. Kentucky being the worst defense in the league. We've definitely seen that. I mean, against Tennessee wasn't really shooting the ball very well, but we definitely saw that, Kentucky was struggling to get shots up. They have lost recently to Vanderbilt, Vanderbilt's a really good team, don't get me wrong, but they were definitely favored by quite a bit in that game, so that's a tough loss, especially it wasn't at home, it was at Vanderbilt. They lost to Alabama. That was another game where they just struggled to make shots. The clutch really hurt them. They weren't guarding the three very well. And their on-ball defense has been pretty bad, too. They obviously lost to Georgia by quite a bit. And then their worst loss of the season was to Ohio State. That was a while ago. I remember that game. But yeah, so there is definitely a big disparity in defensive prowess. But then you look on the other side of the ball, there is a big disparity in offensive prowess as well. Kentucky being the third best offense in the SEC, but they're really close to Florida. They're only 0.3 points behind in terms of offensive rating. And Arkansas is the second worst offense. So, I mean, like I said, it's going to be a very similar look to that Tennessee game, except a slightly worse offense. So, logically, Kentucky's going to win this game. That's my official pick. I think Kentucky wins by 18 is my guess. I think Arkansas stays relatively close in terms of, they're within 10 points the entire game, but I think they let it slip towards the end and we lose by 18, which is kind of a crazy guess. But there is definitely the possibility where Arkansas plays good defense. And in terms of play style, the past two games they've played, in my opinion, have been my favorite games to watch this entire year, even more than that Michigan win we had. But with Boogie Flan being out, that's a lot more shot distribution to everybody else, because Boogie Flan was leading the league in minutes. He was taking 20 shots a game, it felt like. And a lot of his shots were really long mid-ranges that it felt like he was only making about 30% of them. I don't know what the official number is. I don't have Ken Palm pulled up right now, so I don't want to go through all that to find it. But since he's been gone, Arkansas has been shooting more threes. They haven't been falling. Janelle Davis has been shooting like 3 of 11. DJ Wagner's been shooting 2 of 12. John L. Davis had another game where he shot 1 of 11. So, I mean, they're not falling, but who knows? Maybe this game they fall. We've been getting shots up. Cal's been running a really good offense. I know Kentucky fans hate to hear that word or that phrase, but he's been running a really good offense. The shots just haven't been falling. But like I said, since Boogie's been gone, the defensive intensity's been up because now you have DJ Wagner, Billy Richmond, Carter Knox. Jonas Adu's been terrible this season. He's probably been the worst player on this team so far. Big Z's been stepping up on the defensive end. Obviously, we know what Adu Thero can do on the defensive end. I mean, Arkansas could give Kentucky some struggles. Kentucky's weird, though. They play really good against good teams, and they play pretty bad against mid teams. So they could have a bad game against Arkansas. You never know. And, they're not the best defensive team, so maybe Arkansas starts making shots. They get hot early. DJ Wagner goes off in his old stadium. Maybe Adu Thero gets a couple of and ones here and there. Maybe Big Z hits a couple of threes. You never really know. This game honestly could go either way. But I'm still going to stick with the betting odds being, if I were to take a guess, they're going to be probably Kentucky's favorite by 4.5 points. You know what? I'm going to say Arkansas loses by 13. I'm not going to say they lose by 18 like I originally said. I'm going to say they lose by 13. Still not a very close game in terms of final score. But like I said, Arkansas has a chance to do something. So that is probably all I want to talk about with Arkansas and Kentucky. I don't think there's much else to say. I feel like I kind of covered all the bases. The second biggest game, in my opinion, is Florida and Tennessee. I don't even think that's my opinion. I think that's just a true fact. Also, to get the cheapest ticket to get into the Arkansas-Kentucky game is $166. And then you look at like the Texas A&M South Carolina game, $5. Texas versus LSU, $6 to get in. $6 to watch Vanderbilt versus Oklahoma. $37 to watch Missouri. Big ticket difference. And even Florida versus Tennessee is a $60 ticket. Anyways, moving on. So Florida versus Tennessee. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Florida's gonna win this game. They've been amazing. Number 5 seed in the entire league. They're definitely number 2 in the SEC. Offense has been amazing. Defense has been amazing. Florida has the second best offense and then the second best defense in the entire league. Where Tennessee's the number 1 defense, but then they are the 10th best offense. Tennessee, as of late, has been struggling just in terms of shot making. Very similar problems to last year where it was Dalton Knecht doing all the offense, and you might occasionally get a shot here and there from like Jemai Mashak or something. Zakai Ziegler might hit a shot here and there. Zakai Ziegler offensively has been struggling. He's been a big part of their offense struggles. Defensively, you know what you're getting out of him defensively. Same with Jemai Mashak. You know what you're getting out of them defensively. This whole team, you know what you're getting out of them defensively. You can attack Chaz Lanier on the perimeter, which I think they're definitely going to do. And I think Florida has the guards. They have the play style. They have the depth in the bench to really give Chaz Lanier some struggles. I think Tennessee's really going to have a hard time putting up points against Florida. And I think they're going to do pretty well against Tennessee's defense. Considering Florida, they have all the big men in the world to get offensive rebounds. I think they're still the second best team in offensive rebounding numbers in the league. Yeah, second best, only behind Texas A&M, who no one's going to pass Texas A&M. That's like their whole identity. So Florida's a good shooting team. They're a good defending team. They offensive rebound. So if they miss the ball, they're going to get the ball back and score again. So, I think Florida just absolutely outmatches Tennessee. I still think Tennessee's overrated. In terms of their literal ranking, I think they're probably closer to 11th seed. I think there's a few teams in the SEC that I would take over them. It's hard to. I know Kentucky just beat them. It's hard to say I would take them definitively. I would definitely take Alabama over them. I would take Texas A&M over Tennessee. So I guess I would take Kentucky over Tennessee as well. I just don't think there's just much. I don't know. If Tennessee could come out and have a good offensive game, I just think in terms of my prediction, I think Florida wins by 9 points. I would probably say Florida wins by 9. Florida's just looked so amazing this year, and they can't miss. They have Walter Clayton in terms of, he's up there with Player of the Year talk. Elijah Martin has been amazing perimeter defense. He's giving you 16 points, and he's defending. He's giving you 5.5 rebounds, almost 3 assists. You're getting 4 assists out of Walter Clayton, 18 points out of him as well. Will Richard has looked amazing. Alex Condon has looked amazing. Chinyelu has looked amazing. Sam Alexis. This team is so deep. I just find it hard that it's going to take a lot of convincing to make me believe that Tennessee is going to beat this Florida team. Moving on, Missouri versus Mississippi State. Missouri's on an absolute burner as of late. They're 5-2 in SEC play, and Mississippi State is 4-4 in SEC play. 14 seed Mississippi State. They're being carried by the pre-conference play, but Missouri is on the creep up. This Missouri team is looking really, really, really good. I'm really impressed by what they're doing compared to last year. Missouri has the 4th best offense, and then they have they're one of the not as good defense, but they have a better defense than Mississippi State. And statistically, they have a better offense than Mississippi State as well. This Missouri team has been really, really, like, I can't even understate how good they've been compared to last year. No point in looking at strength of schedule now that we're getting into conference play. That's kind of besides the point. Missouri's number 1 in steals, causing steals. I believe. Okay, so they're not very high up in blocks. They're actually towards the bottom of the league in blocks. They run a pretty fluid offense. If I look at 3-pointers attempted, they don't shoot a lot of threes, which I kind of knew. And it's weird. They don't really shoot a lot of field goals either. Like, they don't shoot the ball a lot, but their efficiency is through the roof. They're 4th in the league in field goal percentage. Their 3-point percentage is 2nd in the league. Like I said, volume isn't very high, but efficiency is definitely up there. I really like some of the pieces that this Missouri team has. I think they're one of the more underrated teams in the entire college basketball, definitely in the SEC. They made huge strides these past few weeks in terms of, like, conference play. They did lose a game to Auburn, which everyone loses to Auburn. I think they lost on Auburn's floor as well. They lost to Texas, which isn't a very good loss at all. But I think they also lost on Texas's floor as well. I think. They beat Florida, who, like I just said, is one of the better teams in the league. They beat Vanderbilt, who's one of the better teams in the league. They beat LSU, who's not very good. And they beat Arkansas, who's not very good either. So, Tamar Bates has looked incredible. Mark Mitchell's looked incredible. I've been really impressed with Caleb Grill. I would say he's probably the best shooter in the entire league. I don't know what the statistics say. I don't know if they back me up on that, but just based off looks, it's either him or, like, Kobe Brea. But that's, like, the only, like, conversation you can have. He's shooting 48% from 3 on 6 attempts a game. There's really not much more you can ask for that. That's just insane efficiency. I just really like what this Missouri team is able to do. They're really physical. They're really fast-paced. They play as a team. I guess they're really not, like, super fast-paced. They're towards the middle of the pack, so they're pretty average. But I'm still really high on what this team can do. And then looking at Mississippi State, they've had their struggles as of late. I believe, who'd they just play? I can't remember. Where's Mississippi State? They have just played. Yeah, I mean, they've lost. They're on a pretty decent losing, not streak, but a losing stretch, I would say. They just lost to Alabama. They lost pretty badly to Tennessee, and then they lost pretty badly to Auburn. I mean, it's kind of hard to knock them. They've lost to Kentucky, Auburn, Tennessee, and then Alabama. That's 4 of the 5 best teams in the league, so you can't really knock them for that, I guess. I guess I overlooked that. They beat Mississippi State, they beat Ole Miss, which was a team they were kind of closely ranked to. They ended up beating out South Carolina, which only by 5 points, and I think that was at South Carolina. They beat Vanderbilt, which is one of the better teams, but they're doing a lot better than they were whenever they played them, and they beat South Carolina by 35 points. So this Mississippi State team has had a better offense than they normally would. I've already talked about that pretty much the entire season, really. I mean, as of right now, they're towards the middle of the pack in offensive rating. Points put up, they're also towards the middle of the pack, but their defense has slipped. Usually they're more of a defensive, slow, grinded out team, but they really haven't been that this year. They're towards the bottom of the league in defense. So it's really hard. Net rating wise, they're quite a bit lower than who are they? Missouri. No, not they're playing Missouri. They're quite a bit lower. Missouri's 4th in the league. Mississippi State's 11th. Did I say? Yeah, okay. I said how much Florida's going to win by. I'm going to take Missouri in this game. They're on a streak. They're on a stretch. It's at their stadium. They're going to probably win. No, it's at Mississippi State. That changes it. Oh, I'm going to take Mississippi State by 3. I don't know why I thought it was at Missouri. Maybe I could still see Missouri winning, though. I think the spread is probably like 0.5 in Mississippi State's favorite just because they're the home team. Moving on to the next team, we have Auburn versus Ole Miss. Ole Miss has been on a skid lately. I'm not going to talk too much about Auburn because we already know what I'm going to say. Super deep team. historically good offense, historically good defense. That's pretty much all there is to say about it. Janai Broom's back looking like the player of the year once again. Ole Miss ended up losing to Mississippi State. I already mentioned that. They barely lost to Texas A&M by 1 point. And then they just lost to Missouri. So, I mean, those are pretty good teams. They're towards the middle of the league, in my opinion. I don't think Ole Miss should still be ranked. I don't think they will be ranked after this game. Definitely not after this game, but I don't think they should be ranked as of even right now, talking before they play Auburn. Auburn's going to beat them. I'm going to take Auburn. If I were to guess, the betting odds are probably... I mean, Ole Miss is ranked. The betting odds are probably Auburn's favored by 5.5 points, but I'm going to take Auburn by... This Ole Miss team has been really bad lately. It's at Oxford, but Auburn hasn't had any trouble on the road. I'm going to take Auburn by 12. I'm going to take them by 20. Is that crazy to say? I'm going to take Auburn by 20. Moving on to Vanderbilt versus Oklahoma. Oklahoma's looked pretty good. Okay. The beginning of the season, really good. SEC play, they're 2-5. Vanderbilt's 4-3. I really like how Vanderbilt's been playing. Super fast pace. They force a lot of turnovers. They like to run the fast break. I think in terms of turnovers, I guess Vanderbilt's pretty low. I thought they were forcing turnovers, but I guess they've slowed down quite a bit. I do like their defensive presence that they bring on the perimeter. When you look at a guy like... why can I not see his name? Who am I thinking of? Is it AJ Hoggard? Is that... No, because it might be AJ Hoggard I'm thinking of. As a team, they perform really well. Jason Edwards has been putting up buckets. They just had a win over Kentucky. I just talked about that. But they had a pretty bad loss to Alabama, a pretty bad loss to Missouri, and then a pretty bad loss to Mississippi State. They end up beating Tennessee by 1 point. They beat South Carolina by 3, and that was on their home floor. And then they beat LSU. So they have taken a few bad losses, but I think with how good this team is in transition and forcing turnovers, and they don't really turn the ball over themselves, I believe. Vanderbilt's 7th in the league in offensive rating. Points put up per game, they're 6th, but I think their preseason or their pre-conference kind of hurt them a little bit. In terms of just conference play, they've looked really, really good. They've been shooting the ball pretty well in conference play as well. I think I'm going to take, it's at Oklahoma's home floor as well. Who did Oklahoma just play? I know they beat Arkansas, and then they just beat, who'd they just beat? And right now, Oklahoma's in the top of the league in three-point shooting percentage. Jeremiah Fears, Jalen Moore have looked really good. Jeremiah Fears has slowed down a little bit in conference play. Jalen Moore has looked really good, but they took a huge loss their first game to Alabama. They lost to A&M. They lost to Georgia. They lost to Texas. They did beat South Carolina pretty well, and they beat Arkansas by a little bit, and then they just ended up losing to Texas A&M. I'm going to take I'm just going to go based off momentum. I'm going to take Vanderbilt because they've been the hotter team as of late. I know it's at Oklahoma's home floor, but that doesn't change much in my opinion. Moving on to Georgia, Alabama. It's at Alabama, so Georgia's going to look terrible. I'm going to take Alabama. If I were to guess, betting odds is probably 5.5 as well, similar to the Auburn game. Alabama's looked really good. They came off to a really slow start in terms of pre-conference play, but as of late, they've looked really, really good. If I pull up their game logs, they're playing like the team we expected them to. Mark Sears putting up 18 points per game, 5 assists per game. We kind of expected all this out of him. Aiden Holloway's looked really good off the bench for them. He's definitely my pick for Sixth Man of the Year. Okay, so game started for Aiden Holloway. He still hasn't started a single game, which is what I thought. I was just making sure before I said he was Sixth Man of the Year. He's looked really good off the bench for them. Alabama's only loss in conference play has come to Ole Miss, so just regular Mississippi. That's kind of a tough loss, and it was at their home floor, but they wiped Oklahoma. They wiped South Carolina. They beat Texas A&M. They beat Kentucky. They wiped Vanderbilt. They beat LSU, and then they beat Mississippi State. So they beat a lot of those middle-of-the-pack teams that are kind of, pretty good. This team has looked really good, and I say their pre-conference play was pretty bad. Win and loss-wise, not really. It was just Mark Sears was kind of struggling. They weren't putting up as many points as you would expect them to. They weren't shooting the ball very good either. But as of late, they've been shooting the ball quite a bit better. They went from the bottom of the league in three-point percentage to 10th. And in conference play, they've been shooting really good. They're starting to understand Nate Oates' system, super high-powered offense, super fast-paced. Their defense is still struggling, but they're not as bad as they once were. They're right ahead of Kentucky barely. I like Alabama's chances in this game. I think Georgia, with it being an away game, they're not going to put up much of a fight. I mean, they lost to Arkansas, who in my opinion is one of the worst teams in the league, and they managed to lose to them at home. I'm going to take Alabama by 26. I'm going to take Alabama by 26. No disrespect to Georgia. I really like what they're doing over there. I do think that Asa Newell is freshman of the year. I like Silas Demery at that like makeshift point guard position. He's pretty steady over there, but they don't really compete with Alabama, especially on the road. Next game, Texas LSU. This is a really weird game. Both teams are pretty bad. Texas has been a little bit better as of late. They're 3-5 in conference. LSU's 1-6, and LSU's only win is Arkansas. So not really saying much there. If I pull up Texas's stats, where are they at? I know they were one of the better teams. What stat did I see earlier that they were leading in? Was it 3-point percentage? They're still towards the top. They were leading at one point. They're not very high in attempts, but they are making them, at least the ones they're taking. Tramon Mark has been looking better. He just hit that game winner over an A&M, which I believe was in the top 5. I talked about that already. But if we look at their game log as of late, they had a pretty bad loss to Texas A&M at the beginning of the game, or the beginning of the season. They lost to Auburn. It was a close game. They put up a fight against Auburn. I think that was on their home court as well. They lost to Tennessee, another really close game. That was also on their home court. They ended up beating Oklahoma away. They lost really badly to Florida, but it's Florida. They beat Missouri. They beat Missouri, and then they barely beat A&M, like I said, on that game winner. And then they just barely lost to Mississippi. So they've been playing pretty good as of late. I still don't know if I'm super confident in them. I do think they're better than LSU. LSU is they're a train wreck right now. Who's their leading scorer? Is it still Cam Matthews? Not Cam Matthews, but Cam Carter. Yeah, Cameron Carter is at 18 points per game. He's looked amazing. Jordan Sears has looked amazing. Their backcourt has been really, really good with Jai Bailey, Victorious Miller. It's just once you get past their 4 guards, it's kind of like, oh, well, not much else going on for them. Damian Collins has looked pretty decent. Corey Chess has looked decent, but he's a freshman. You kind of can't expect too much out of him, but he's been rebounding the ball pretty well. It's just they struggle on that offensive end. I don't know what their defensive rating is. Who am I looking for again? What team? I just blanked. LSU. LSU, I mean, they're towards the bottom of the league in defensive rating. They're towards the bottom in offensive rating. It's just hard for me to pick them. Whose floor is it on? It's in Baton Rouge. Give me LSU. This is going to be a breakout game for LSU. I think if I were to take a guess, the betting odds is probably Texas favored by 0.5 because they are the away team. I'm going to take LSU by 3. I think they squeeze out a win here. I think Cam Carter goes off. I think Jordan Sears goes off. And I think their big men... Texas A&M doesn't have the best big man presence. They have Caden Shedrick down there. But really, other than him, what else do you get from the big man? No, I take that back. Arthur Kaluma has looked really, really good for them out of that front court. But he's really only 6'7". He's an inch taller than Trey Johnson, so he's really not as tall as he looks out there. Onyema has looked decent where he transferred out of Tennessee. No, where did Onyema transfer from? Because I recognize the name. Where did he transfer from? Oh, he's been in Texas. I'm tripping then. I'm thinking of Onyenso. That's what I'm thinking of. But yeah, this Texas team has been struggling in conference play. Did I go over their losses? Yeah, I did go over their losses already. I'm just repeating myself. I'm a broken record. I'm still going to take LSU with it being them the home team. I think they're going to have a little bit of a breakout. I think it's going to be a pretty fun game, both offensive teams. I'm sticking with LSU by 4. Next game is A&M versus South Carolina. South Carolina statistically is the worst team because they haven't gotten a win in conference play. They're 10-11. They might be. I don't think. It's weird. I don't know if they are going to get a win. But this team is really good. Like, it's really weird to say that. I'm really high on what South Carolina is going to do. Obviously, offensive rating is in the dirt. Defensive rating is in the dirt as well. But they've been in some games closely. Like, they only lost to Auburn by 3 points. They only lost to Vanderbilt by 3 points. They only lost to Florida by 1. But then they lose to Mississippi State by 5. They lose to Georgia by 11. They get blown out by Oklahoma. They get blown out by Alabama. They get blown out by Mississippi State. I really like what Colin Murray-Boyles is doing. 16 or 15 points per game, 9 rebounds, almost 3 assists. He just looks amazing. But once you get past him, there's really not much else you can really be proud of. I mean, Jamari Thomas is putting up numbers, but nothing crazy. It's just this team is physical in the paint, but they can't really score. Texas A&M is, in my opinion, they're more of a physical team. They're a better rebounding team. It is in South Carolina, but it's not like South Carolina has much of a home court advantage right now. I don't think their fans are very engaged, and I think they're all just kind of waiting for baseball season to start. So I'm going to take Texas A&M. I would assume they're probably going to be the betting favorite by 3.5 probably, just in terms of betting odds. I'm going to take Texas A&M by a wide margin. I think Wade Taylor's kind of getting back into his healthy form. He's looked pretty good the past few games. I'm going to take Texas A&M. Shout out Obaseki, I think Obaseki. That's how you pronounce it. Shout out Coleman. I'm going to take Texas A&M by 12. No, 19. They're going to win by 19. That's all the games. I covered everybody. Hopefully this video wasn't too long. It looks like I was probably going on for about 30 minutes. That's kind of the length I was hoping for, so I did good. Hopefully no fan bases are mad at me. If you disagree, like I always say, let me know down in the comments down below. I will respond, I'll try and be logical. I won't be hateful. Hopefully you guys are logical with me and not hateful. Kentucky fans, you're not going to be very logical. You're probably not going to like the fact that I said Coach Cal coaches recently and then that Arkansas has a chance of winning. Like I said, I don't think they're going to win, but they have a chance. Obviously, every team has a chance. I just want to give my home team some love. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the very next episode. Peace out.